Hello and welcome to the Sound of Free, the YouTube's second best channel. I am Tuomas and today I am here to talk about the Beach Boys discography, and this talk is gonna be pretty unscripted and very casual. So, if you are watching this later, just to let you know, this is live, this is recorded live, and here we go. Please, if you do watch this later, write a comment and let me know that you are watching. Leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you do not like the content. Anyway, here we go. The Beach Boys. And hey, just to let you know, the Beach Boys is probably my favorite group or band. There's just a lot to discuss and talk about that group and the members and the music. So, in this video I am going to be very superficial and just go through with the albums in general, not too deep, because I do want to leave leave a lot of things to say to other videos also, and it would be nice to make album reviews of all the albums by the band. But let me know from which album I should start, or should I do them chronologically, for example. Just let me know. Write a comment and subscribe. Anyway, the Beach Boys released 29 studio albums, and the Beach Boys' first studio album was released in 1962, which was Surfing Safari, and last studio album was released in 2012, which was That's Why God Made the Radio. So the Beach Boys has a massive catalog of albums, studio albums, and on top of that they released 8 live albums. This is all information from Wikipedia, so it possibly does have errors. And the studio album part is kinda tricky, because some of the albums that are usually listed as studio albums may not be like real original material studio albums, depending on who you ask. For example, Stars and Stripes. But hey, we'll get to that later on this video. Anyway, 55 compilation albums, that's quite a lot, and 71 singles. Anyway, let's start. Let's go through with each studio album, and I'll share a few thoughts and words on each one of them, but I will not go too much into detail because, like I said, I do want to leave something for the reviews, which are upcoming soon, I hope. Surfing Safari, released October 1st, 62. Surfing Safari is a pretty cute debut album. Not my favorite. Has some good tunes. My favorite one is the title track. I also enjoy the first Dennis Wilson lead vocal track, little girl, yeah, You're My Miss American, which is a cover, but I do enjoy that one. And I think those are, in my opinion, the best tracks on Surfing Safari. It does have also 409 on it, but that never was my favorite. But anyhow, it's a good listen. Surfing in the USA was released in '63, March 25th, and in '63 the Beach Boys released 3 albums: Surfing USA, Surfer Girl, and Little Deuce Coupe. So that was a pretty busy year for them. And Surfing USA, a couple words on that one. It's a pretty solid album. It has a lot of instrumental surf rock tunes, which are great. It has even a cover of Mr. Lou, which you might recognize from Pulp Fiction, the Dick Dale version. But it's pretty unbelievable that Carl Wilson and David Marks were capable of doing a pretty solid cover of Mr. Lou when they were just teenagers. That's just, mind blowing, at least to me. And Surfing USA is in pretty much every way an upgrade of Surfing Safari. It's not a stronger album, but continues the same style. So they go really well hand in hand. Surfer Girl is my favorite one of these so-called surfing albums. It has classic ballads like In My Room and Surfer Girl, and Surfer Girl is like I said, I think it is the most coherent and most sophisticated of these early Beach Boys albums, and I think it is the best up until All Summer Long. So in between those there is Little Deuce Coupe and Shutdown Volume 2, which both include great tracks, but whenever my favorite albums, they are probably the albums by the Beach Boys that I listen the least of all. Ballad of Old Betsy is a great tune. I love that one. Some great vocals by Brian from Little Deuce Coupe, and Car Crazy Cutie. I should stop that. That is irritating. I know. Sorry. Car Crazy Cutie. That is an amazing track. I love it. But yeah, there's a lot of filler in these early Beach Boys albums. Shutdown Volume 2. I never kinda even. I'm rarely even capable of separating these two, because I think they are so much the same, and they kinda what's the word? Whatever. Come together in my head. So yeah, Shutdown Volume 2. It's the better one from this. It has great tracks. The title of the album is pretty weird, but yeah, it has fun. Don't Worry Baby, The Warmth of the Sun, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't know. I was never a big fan of Keep an Eye on Summer. It's not a bad song, but I guess it's considered as some sort of classic, but it was never my favorite. And This Car of Mine, which is a Denny Wilson lead vocal, also was or is one of my lead favorites. It's not a bad track, but it's kind of boring. So, what do you think of This Car of Mine? All Summer Long. That's a huge milestone and an upgrade, and really one of the best and highly recognized and appreciated albums by the Beach Boys. It's basically the epitome of these summer and fun kind of albums that they made, and it's pretty much the last one that is basically just filled with these surfing and car type of tracks. But anyway, that's one of my favorites. I Get Around, All Summer Long, Hushabye, which is a great cover. I think it tops the original Little Honda, Will Run Away, Wendy, and Drive In, which is a very underrated track. I really love it. I think it's funny as hell. Don't Back Down. Great album. And once again, the Beach Boys Christmas album. That's one of these studio albums that I still do not own. I haven't been able to bump into one, but I would love to pick it up. It's a great album. I'm not a huge fan of Christmas music, so I will leave it at that, but it does have some great covers and some great original tunes, and tracks like Little Saint Nick have become these Christmas song staples that pretty much everybody around the world who likes to listen to Christmas songs during Christmas on the radio knows. It's a very recognizable and classic Christmas tune. So if you enjoy that kind of stuff, there you go. The Beach Boys today, that is definitely top 10 album for me. Could even be in top 5. That's one of the albums that I listen most of the times, or mostly, or how would I put it, you probably got what I meant. Today is very interesting, and it's the first, if I'd put it this way, the first true artistic statement of an album by the band, or Brian Wilson mostly, because he was leading the group at this point. The first side of the album is filled with these rock tunes, up tempo, and mostly happy. Happy is maybe the wrong word. The thing I think makes this album better than the earlier albums is that even the happy tunes have most of the times in the lyrics a contrast. So songs like Help Me Rhonda, Dance Dance Dance, When I Grow Up to Be a Man, Don't Hurt My Little Sister, or Good to My Baby, they all have weird noises coming somewhere. They all have ideas or parts in the lyrics that if you listen to them well enough, you find out that the story itself isn't really that happy, that they always have a downside, and somehow this sadness underneath, even though the music itself is most of the times very upbeat. But the most interesting stuff on today is of course on the side 2, which is filled with amazing, beautiful ballads, but we will not dive any deeper into that. I will leave it at that, so we can discuss about those at some later time. But the next album is Summer Days and Summer Nights, and these both were released today, and Summer Days and Summer Nights were released in 65. And you know, it's crazy. Today was released March 8th of March 65, and Summer Days and Summer Nights was released in July 5th 65. So there's only like, you know, April, May, June, July. There's like 4 months separate between these two albums. That's crazy, because these times a band or an artist releases an album in, you know, like in every 4 years or something. You know, there's years in between, but crazy to think that. And you know, both of these albums are amazing, so that's even crazier. Summer Days and Summer Nights is the last true, you know, summer fun, blah blah blah, you know, type of album by the Beach Boys. Not my favorite one. It has some great tunes, like Girl Don't Tell Me, Help Me Rhonda, the version that got to #1. I think it got to #1. I think it was the first track by the Beach Boys that went to #1. Let's see. Yeah, it peaked #1 in the States. It was the second Beach Boys single. Okay, yeah. I Get Around was the first one, of course. Yeah, sorry. And then it has California Girls, Let Him Run Wild, You're So Good to Me, and the end trilogy is great. I love Summer Means New Love, and even I'm Bugged at All My Old Man, even though a lot of people don't really dig it, but I think it's amazing. And Your Dream Comes True, that is really beautiful tune. I love it. It's I think it's a cappella. It's really beautiful. But then Beach Boys Party, that's one of the albums that, you know, I guess it's a studio album, but it was kind of put together, you know, just for the money, I think, to please the record company. I do not consider it a real true studio album. It's mostly just filled with covers. Not one of my favorites. The best part of this album is probably the cover art. It's really nice. I like the pictures, but you know, I leave it at that. Pet Sounds. It seems to come out of nowhere, but hey, there was Today, which is the, how would I put it? What is that word? Anyway, the thing that came before, that is like kind of like the first part. Whatever. I think you know what I mean. Word slipped out of my head. If you wonder why I speak so weirdly, it's because I'm doing these videos to practice my English speaking. I do well enough with the language if I just write, but I'm not used to speaking it. So I just figured out that this would be the best way to keep practicing. You might not find it maybe, you know, too that interesting content, but you know, at least I learn the language and that is great. But anyway, Pet Sounds, not gonna talk too much about that one. A great album, and I will leave it at that. Released 66 May 16th, and didn't sell very well, at least not in the States, but today considered a classic, one of the greatest albums of all time, actually. I bet you didn't know that. Smiley Smile, 67 September 18th. Amazing album, actually. I love it. Smiley Smile is really weird. It's really minimalistic, really experimental, and it is considered to be this huge influence in creating ambient music, or how would I put it? Well, let's just put it this way. Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead thought, or said that Smiley Smile was his favorite album of all time, not just by the Beach Boys, but all time. He really dug the album. He really thought it was the best thing ever, and it's a weird album. I love it. Songs like Good Vibrations and Heroes and Villains don't really fit into the context of it, but Good Vibrations never puts an album down. So there you go. And then Wild Honey. This is basically where things start to get interesting for me, at least. Wild Honey is one of the albums that I listen, or let's put it this way: the late 60s stuff by the Beach Boys is where it starts getting interesting, at least for me. Wild Honey, Friends, 2020, the last 3 albums that they released on Capitol are all very solid albums, and they are filled with amazing tracks, especially Wild Honey and Friends are both very underrated, not very well known. I guess Wild Honey has more tracks that, like Darlene was featured on The Big Bang Theory. Is that the right word of the show? I think the big... Well, whatever, you probably already know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the right word. Right show, yes. Darlene was featured in at least one episode of it. And, people know the title track, Wild Honey. And, but the not so well known tracks are also amazing on Wild Honey. And Friends is a very solid, coherent piece of art. It's only like 25 minutes long, which is crazy. I do not know probably any other album that would be so short, and that's only because the songs are so short. Like the first track, Meant for You, is only 40 seconds long, and during this 40 seconds it already does and moves you in ways that most of the 5-minute songs do not, So it's an interesting album, very peaceful. Love it. 2020. It's a hodgepodge, but there's really not a single weak track on it. I love each and every second of 2020. I just wish it was compiled in a better way with more thought, because it's really weird how it goes from All I Want to Do to Nearest Faraway Place, and from Cotton Fields to I Went to Sleep, and from Our Prayer to Cabin Essence, or even Do It Again to I Can Hear Music, and from that to Bluebirds Over the Mountain. It's really weird. It doesn't really flow. But all the tracks are amazing, and it almost feels like a greatest hits compilation kind of album, because all the tracks are so, so high class. But that's just me. Sunflower, released in 1970 on Brother Reprise Records, and that's an album that didn't sell that much. I think it sold only like some 1,000 copies or something. Basically, at this point in the United States, people had turned completely their backs against the Beach Boys, and at least what I've read, even like music stores, record stores, didn't. They at this point they didn't even sell new albums by the Beach Boys. They were like, no. They were just like, no, you're not getting that one from here. If people went and asked if you had this album, nobody wanted to even sell them, which is really sad, because at this point, the music, in my opinion, it almost just like keeps getting better and better as the other members of the band start to bloom. And Sunflower is filled with great tracks by Dennis Wilson, great tracks by Bruce Johnston, Mike Love, and of course Brian Wilson. It's a very solid group effort. Really love it. One of my favorites. Surf's Up, released in 71. Very different beast than Sunflower or any other album, for that matter. Even the cover art itself, I wish I had it here to show, but I don't. Even the cover art is very different from anything they had released or have released since. Very dark. Surf's Up is definitely one of my favorite albums. Sorry. But it's one of those albums that is great. It's amazing. It's almost flawless, but it could have been a masterpiece. It could have been. And that's kind of what makes it sad. I'm not one of those people who think that 4th of July is that great of a song. A song that was cut out, I believe, from Surf's Up. It was never fully finished, but anyway, it was considered at some point for Surf's Up. It was a song written by Dennis Wilson and has Carl singing lead. But it's a good tune. But I'm not that sad about it not getting a place on this album. But wouldn't it be nice to Live Again by Dennis Wilson also would have been an amazing ad on Surf's Up, and it's sad that it got cut out because it's a great track. My least favorite on Surf's Up is Student Demonstration Time. On my first listen, I thought it was great. I loved it. But now when I listen to the album like the millionth time, it's the kind of track that I usually just skip because it doesn't fit at all. Even though the lyrics fit in this whole social, problem, blah 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 topics, but musically it's just out of place completely. I love side 2 of Surf's Up. I think it's flawless, but we will not go any much further with that one either, because I do want to save these things for specific videos. So, if you want to hear what I think about these songs and these albums in greater detail, subscribe, push the bell button next to the subscribe button, and participate on the next live stream, because each and every video on this channel is live from now on, so you will be able to express your thoughts also, and we can discuss. That would be cool. It would be nice to hear different opinions from you guys also. What you like, what you don't like. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? But anyway, let's move forward. Carl and the Passions, So Tough. That's an interesting one. The title itself is already pretty interesting. The idea was that the Beach Boys wanted to release an album not as the Beach Boys, because at this point the Beach Boys name was pretty much like a poison, because even the record stores were like, no, we're not selling the Beach Boys albums here. They didn't, nobody wanted to have anything to do with them, so they wanted to release an album as just this, new band or whatever, this unknown band. So they titled it Can't Passions So Tough. But what happened in the end was that I believe that some dude somewhere decided to put the name The Beach Boys in the cover anyhow, so it was kind of a nice idea, but it didn't really work out the way they wanted. But anyway, the album itself is the first one of the two albums that introduced Blondie Chaplin and Ricky Fattar. There's a lot to say about this album. I really love it. It's one of my mostly listened albums by this band. It has weak moments, but it has couple amazing Dennis Wilson tracks, and it has Marcella on it, and All This Is That. There's a lot of thoughts and a lot of things to say about it, but I do not want to give too much up at this point. Holland, and as we mentioned, look what I got over here. I just love this cover art. I think this might even be my favorite of all the Beach Boys albums. Holland is an album that the Beach Boys recorded in, you name it, Holland. And here I got a copy of it. I think this is the original pressing, and it is signed by Blondie Chaplin, Al Jardine, and Brian Wilson. And I got it signed in person, so I'm gonna brag about this in each and every moment that I just, get. I actually do have also Call and the Passion signed by Blondie, Al, and Brian also, but I do not have it here with me. Holland is really important and special album to me personally. It got me through some hard times. It was funny when I went to see Brian in London a few years ago, and took with me this album and Carl and the Passions, both of them that I had, both from London actually, in 2012. These exact copies, so I brought them back and had them signed by Brian, Al, and Blondie. Anyway, when I gave them for them to sign, it was funny how Brian kind of looked for a few seconds for the album. He took it and looked the cover, and put his name on it, and then looked it for a few seconds more, and then he just like threw it for Al, I believe. Yeah, Al was sitting next to him, so he just kind of like threw it to Al, like didn't care about But yeah, great memories. Anyhow, I would love to talk about Holland more, but I will not at this point. There's just way too much to talk about it. Way too much interesting stuff on it. It's an epic album. And then the Beach Boys went for a couple years long hiatus and came with 15 Big Ones. And 15 Big Ones is an interesting one. It's a very controversial album. I would love to dig up some old newspaper articles that I have from 75, 76, around that time period, and there are these interviews with, for example, Dennis Wilson, who talks about how they want to record a lot of songs, and they want to make sure that the album that they make is like really good, that it's gonna be like the best album that they have ever released, and stuff like that, and then they come up with 15 Big Ones after a break. But to be honest, I enjoy 15 Big Ones. I am not in any way a mocker of it. I don't dislike it. I actually spin it quite often, and I listen to it on the car radio a lot. I love it actually. So there you go. But it's it's a huge step backwards from Holland, for sure. 77, Love You, or the Beach Boys Love You. Love You is an once again interesting album. One of my favorites. I kind of put it up there with Pet Sounds, so there you go. But I will leave it at that. Love You is one of the few albums that, on the first listen, it just like blew my mind, because I remember listening to it the first time, and I was like, on each and every song, I went like, wow, like, and I remember like laughing, and I remember going like, oh my god, this is so crazy, and this is so catchy, and I love this melody, and it's just, it takes you to like, in these short songs, it takes you through pretty epic journey, musical journey, and the instrumentation is just crazy but amazing. MIU album. MIU is an interesting, once again, but not in the Sorry, no, but not at all in the same way as is Love You. MIU was released in 78, October 2nd, and it was produced by Al Jardine. It was recorded in Maharishi International University in Iowa, and I would kind of love to hear more about making of this album, because there is not that much information about it to be found. At least I haven't found much. I know that the idea, I think, in the first place was to have Brian producing, but he really couldn't do it. And I love this quote by Dennis of MIU. He said that he doesn't believe in that album. It's an embarrassment to my life. It should self-destruct. I hope that the karma will fuck up Mike Love's meditation forever. That's it's pretty funny. It has some great tracks, but the production is, while I enjoy the strings and the overtop cheesy strings and the overtop drumming, and it's kind of like disco type, but not in the over the top way. Just this very cheesy and clinical production. Well, I kind of enjoy it, but it does hurt the better songs, and even the not so good tunes would be very much improved by a better production and instrumentation. But songs like She's Got Rhythm, Won't You Come Out Tonight, Sweet Sunday Kinda Love, Pitter Patter, My Diane, Match Point of Our Love, I think all of those are great tunes, and most of them would be or could have been improved by a better production, but yeah. Let's go forward. We do not have the whole night. LA Light album. I have mixed feelings about this one. It was released in 79. It features the last lead vocals by Dennis Wilson, released on a studio album by the Beach Boys. What I love about LA are the tracks by Dennis and the vocals that he brings on the tracks. Angel Come Home, Love Surrounds Me, and Baby Blue. I think that's like, I mean, come on, I have nothing, no single bad word to say about these three songs. I'm so glad that Angel Come Home, that Carl gave the lead vocal of Angel Come Home to Dennis, because he really kills it. Baby Blue is just so beautiful. I love the part where Dennis comes in around the 1 minute mark. It is just so heartbreaking, really. Good Timing is a great tune by Brian and Carl. Lady Linda, I love the song. I think it should be more well known, but the production on the album version kind of hurts it, because the production is a lot like MIU style. The live version on Nepworth 1980, live album, is a lot better, in my opinion. But Lady Linda itself, it's a very beautiful, very, very good song. Really powerful. Love it. And I even love the Carl Wilson, Jeffrey Cushing Murray tracks, Full Sail and Going South. I think they are very, very good. But then there is Sumahama and Here Comes the Night and Shortening Bread. out of which Shortening Bread is my favorite. My only problem with it is that it sticks out of this album, way too much with Here Comes the Night. Here Comes the Night is the biggest problem I have with this version is that I just don't understand why they decided to put the 10-minute version on the album, because to me it does not make any kind of sense. I enjoy it for what it is. I actually enjoy it more than the original Wild Honey version. You can kill me, but there you go. I have nothing against good disco music, but it just makes zero sense to put a 10 minutes and 51-second long track, disco track, on an album that is otherwise filled with these laid back soft rock ballads. So yeah, I'm sorry, but this could have been a really amazing album. Just throw Here Comes the Night away, and maybe even Sumahama and Shortening Bread, and add couple other tracks by Dennis and one or two tracks by Brian or Carl, and there you go. Or even by Al, because Lady Linda, come on, it's an amazing track. Then Keeping the Summer Alive. About this one I also have a lot of mixed feelings. School Day, Ring Ring Goes the Bell. Al Jardine's cover, should I say, of Chuck Berry's tune. Don't like that at all. It works pretty well in the Nepworth live album, but not here. Endless Harmony by Bruce Johnston, that ends the album. Not a big fan of that. I think it's cheesy and kind of cringe-worthy. Sorry, there are elements to it that I do enjoy, especially like the opening part, where there's only the electric piano and Bruce's singing, but then it kind of goes way over the top, and we sing God Bless America. It's like, oh my god, come on. Sorry, if you love it, go for it. I don't. But the title track, Keeping the Summer Alive, I love it. I think it's amazing. Underrated. Should have been a huge hit, but it wasn't even released as a single, which I do not understand. But overall, this album gathered just so bad reviews, which I really don't understand, because a lot of people have problems with the production of this album. They say it sounds lifeless, and it definitely sounds different from the traditional Beach Boys production style. But I don't have a problem with it the same way that I have problems with, let's say, MIU. I think it's not that bad. But Oh Darling, Some of Your Love, Living with a Heartache, Going On is a masterpiece. It really is a masterpiece. Sorry, I keep saying this word a lot, but I think Going On is well, okay. Let's put it this way. Sorry. Let's go backwards. If Going On would have a killer guitar solo instead of the sax solo, it would be a masterpiece. But the sax solo kinda maybe puts it a step back. Even though it's a good sax solo, nothing wrong with that. But I think a guitar solo would have worked better. Because, I don't know, Going On just reminds me a lot of these classic Queen tunes. Carl delivers a great lead vocal, and those Brian's backing vocals, where his throat is so raspy. You know, he really nails it. And Senana wins. Great tune. And then we go 5 years forwards, and between those years, Dennis Wilson dies, and you know, from now on, it almost feels like the band also dies, because at least to me, it seemed like he was like at this point, he was the only one who was fighting to kind of, keep the artistic, high quality, thing going on. And after he passed away, the whole thing kind of blew up, and we got, albums like The Beach Boys, 85, and Still Cruising. And The Beach Boys 85 is something I really enjoy. I listen to it a lot. It has maybe a few weaker tracks, but for most part, I think it's pretty solid. It sounds so much different from anything that they ever released before or since, and it's definitely something that I just cannot think of, like, Dennis being a part of. But it's still a lot better album than Still Cruising, which is, I wouldn't even call it an album, because it only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It only has 7 new short songs, and then it has I Get Around, Wouldn't It Be Nice, and California Girls Dumped at the end of it, and that just does not make any kind of sense. But we should talk about Still Cruising and The Beach Boys 85 more at the separate videos later on. Just let me know if you want to, or where do you want to start. I would really love to review them separately. Summer in Paradise 92, sorry. Produced by Mike Love and Terry Melcher. Or was it just Terry? Let's check out. Yeah, it was just Terry. Whatever. I should have said written by Mike Love and Terry Melcher, but that wouldn't really make sense either. Summer in Paradise is a mixed bag, and I kind of want to leave you hanging on what I think about it. But it's a controversial album for sure, and it's an album that sold like 100 copies, I think. But it has an amazing cover art. And then 96 Stars and Stripes Volume 1. I think they were planning on making Volume 2 as well, because it is named Volume 1. But because it didn't sell like at all, I think, because it was only at 101. Yeah, it charted 101 on the US, and didn't chart at all in other countries. So they didn't do any more of that series, and I'm pretty glad of that, because to be honest, I haven't ever even listened to Stars and Stripes from start to finish. Maybe I should. Let me know. I have heard tracks of it, and I think I've probably heard actually all of the tracks on it, but not just, I never bumped into it. I don't know if there ever was even an LP release of it. I don't think so at all, at least. No, at least Wikipedia says that there never was an LP release of it. So yeah, I'm not sure if you can even find that on Spotify, just like with Summer in Paradise, the band is so embarrassed, I think, of it that they don't even want it to be on Spotify. And then years go by, 19s go by, and the next century goes by, and comes 2012, and we get a new studio album by the Beach Boys after 50 years. 50 years from the first one, from the debut album, and once again released on a Capitol label, and the album is called That's Why God Made the Radio, released June 5th of 2012, and it peaked on number 3 on US, and that was the highest chart placement that they had, I believe, like in over 40 years. I believe Summer Days and Summer Nights was the last. No, let's see. No, yeah, Summer Days and Summer Nights was peaked at number 2, but after that one, that was the best place that they ever had in the charts, and That's Why God Made the Radio is a very special album to me. I love it a lot, and there's a lot to say about that one. So, let's not talk too much about it at this point, but it's a perfect ending for their career, and I would be happy if they come back together and made a new album in the style of That's Why God Made the Radio, or some other artistically ambitious thing. But if this is gonna be the last one, I'm happy with it. It's filled with great tunes, but let's not go too much into detail. But there were all the studio albums by the Beach Boys. Let me know what you think of their catalog. I would love to hear which ones are your favorites, which ones are your least favorites, and then I would also love to hear where should I start my album reviews. From which album? Should I do them like chronologically or just randomly? Or like I think the best way would be that if you would just just let me know which album would you love to hear me review first, and then on that review you could comment and tell me which album you would love me to or like me to review in the next video. I think that would be the coolest way, but probably there will not be too much comments on this video because I'm still building up this thing, and I'm trying to find the right times to do these live streams, because I know that most of the viewers are on the other side of the globe, and time there is not the time that I have over here. We are on different time zones, so it's tricky, but just let me know what time is good for you. Write a comment. Like I said, that's very important, and the more you thumb it up and the more you give comments and stuff like that, the more often I will try to make these videos, or streams I should say, and subscribe, and let's see you again on the next video. Good night.